Hello and welcome to IIM Ahmedabad Endowment Funds podcast, the Wimvian Trailblazers. It is a true privilege today to have two of our own co-founders, Mr. Ramesh Mangaleswaran and Mrs. Meenakshi Ramesh, here with us today. Mr. Ramesh Mangaleswaran is a senior partner emeritus at McKinsey and Company with over 3 decades of global experience in strategy, transformation, and institution building. He has played an active role in shaping India's economic and policy landscape. Joining him today is his partner in life and in giving, Meenakshi Ramesh. She is the CEO of Pratham Education Foundation. Meenakshi also co-founded Urvani Foundation. Together, Ramesh and Meenakshi are also founding members of the IIM Ahmedabad Endowment Fund. A very warm welcome to the show. It's lovely to have you both here on our third episode of Wimvian Trailblazers podcast. So it's lovely to have you both here. Thank you for taking time out and joining us today. We will start first with your journey together. And my first question would be that how did the journey together start? I know it started here in IMA, yes, but more details.
You want to tell them? I will tell them.
You should tell them.
All right. So we came here in June 91. Mm-hmm. We met for the first time in December of 91. We were both waiting outside CR3 to be interviewed by Citibank for summer jobs. And we just got talking and we said, oh, I'm in section A, he was in section C. And we hadn't, during the course of our classes, we hadn't had a chance to meet before. So we got talking. And then we both have very similar home backgrounds, parents professional, raised conservatively in Tamil families. So it just happened that we found a lot of common things to talk about. Mm-hmm. And that term went, he got the job at Citibank, I didn't. Oh. But I got another job summer job in Mumbai. Mm-hmm. And that job actually needed me to come back to Ahmedabad for some market research. Mm-hmm. And I remember coming back to campus and there was a list of the first year ICE calls on the notice board near the placement office in the old campus. And his name was on the list of ICE calls. So I actually wrote him a letter, an inland letter.
The first letter.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those days you had the blue inland letters, right? Privacy be damned, you could write in any corner of the letter. So I wrote an inland letter and I just said, I came back to campus. I saw your name is on the ICE call list. Well done. Look forward to seeing you soon. And I didn't write my name and I sent it to his address in Chennai. And
that wasn't intentional.
No, well,
there was no space left.
No, I think I just didn't think about writing my name because I wasn't sure who would receive the letter.
Oh,
and we come from families where parents happily open our letters. I mean, we were very careful not to do that with our children, but my father would have opened any letter that was addressed to me. And sure enough, his dad opened that letter. And then he saw that it was a girl. So he very carefully tried to paste it back with tape. And so that was the first letter I wrote him. We came back to campus in July 92 and we had told ourselves, so absence makes the heart grow fonder. I realized I missed him over the summer. We started talking again. And then we said, okay, we can make something out of this. But we were not really in a hurry as such. Ki abhi graduation baki hai, we have to get our jobs and everything. And then one weekend I went home. My father used to live in Baroda in those days. And so I went home and my father must have surely had some sixth sense. He walked up to me and said, if you meet somebody that you're interested in while you're here, while you're on campus, I hope I will be the first to know.
Okay.
And he looked me in the eye and I was not able to lie to him. I said, well, yes, there is somebody. And my father showed up on campus the next day. It was embarrassing for him.
Was he aware that he's coming?
No, well, I told him that my father's coming.
With a couple of hours of notice.
Yeah. And all the dorm mates made so much fun of him. Ki yam dekho sasur se milne ja raha hai.
Rishta pakka.
It was really, I feel sorry for him now. It was embarrassing. But you know how ladki ka baap, he wasn't willing to wait. He wanted to check out who's this guy. So my father came and then he met him and then things were quiet for a bit. We were doing our second year. And then my father started to talk about, this is one of the alliances I'm looking for you. There are other people who have asked me. I said, no, it doesn't work like that. I've told you this is the man I want to marry. So then I said, I'm telling you, my father will go and talk to your father. He'll find out. So you please tell your parents and then we'll let things take their course. And so he went home in the December break. And December 1992 was the fateful break when we all got stuck at different parts of India because of the Babri Masjid episode. And we were all, classmates were stuck in Bombay station, Ahmedabad station. He was stuck in Hyderabad. So with all this happening, he didn't get the kind of time that he wanted to prepare his parents. I think he told them with like 30 seconds to spare for the exit to the station, there is a girl I want you to meet, okay, bye.
But that was convenient, right?
It worked perfectly.
Yeah.
So I just told them and I left.
And then his parents came. Oh my goodness, one big battalion came for the convocation, okay? Mom, dad, mom's older sister, mom's younger sister, older sister's best friend, younger sister's niece. I cannot tell you, some 7 people came to see me. And then they came to my home in Baroda, and they met my father. And then that was it.
So you guys got married right after the
We
campus?
got married in February of 94. We graduated April 93 and we got married in February 94. So he said, oh, I'm only 26 and a half. My father said, but my daughter's 24. I'm sorry, that's the rule here. So then we got married.
Okay.
Also because we were finding it hard to find place Chamri in Bombay. People said, वो लेडी आएंगी तो वो 9 बजे तक she should go. उनको सिर्फ चाय देंगे, हम खाना नहीं देंगे. And then when we were trying to find places to rent, they said, we need to see marriage certificate.
Oh.
Like, they wouldn't give us.
So
we said,
I
okay.
thought Bombay was always the most progressive city.
Maybe it is
Not
now.
the
but
Mumbai of the 90s.
It wasn't then.
Oh, okay. Will you ever do that to your daughter? Like, abhi karo.
One thing I've realized, and now I can appreciate Meenakshi's relationship with her father, is the father-daughter relationship is very special. And I want to say I will do it. She may not like it, but there is an element of possession here that becomes the driving force. So I may do it. She may not like it, but that's okay. Not everything that I do she likes.
That's a very honest confession. But I think she will know it, right? She perhaps knows that you will do it.
The best.
Yeah.
I think the more important thing here is what we both strived to tell our children very clearly is that we respect your choices. Whatever you do, we are here for you. Do not feel the need to hide anything from us. We will always back you. We are here for you. We will support you. But you need to be totally honest with us. I think honesty is the bedrock. It was something we told each other, that we have to be honest with each other. That's something absolutely fundamental to the relationship. And I think it's something we've tried to tell our children. And so far, we've really appreciated that even when they have been in little difficult spots, like a little bit of maybe a disciplinary issue at school or sort of a date went wrong, I know that our children tell us. And so it fosters that sense of complete trust.
You both graduated in the same year but took very different path. Ever did this happened that you had a conversation, like you went ahead in a consulting route, you worked for CRISIL but then came to a very social impact space much earlier than him and he came later. So did you influence him for him coming later to the social impact space, or how did it work?
I think it's all about her. I think the job that I had was a very intense job. I was traveling a lot, and when our son was born, she was quite clear that this phase in my life, I want to just commit to the kids. So our son was born in 97, our daughter was born in 2001. I actually moved to our US offices for 98 and 99. We came back. Her father, who she was very close to, passed away in 2000. So she essentially took a 100% career break.
Caregiving break.
To focus on caregiving, not just to the kids, but also to her father for 5 years. And when at the end of it, I had become a partner by then. She basically said, listen, I'm not going back corporate. Why should I? I mean, frankly, we are doing well and I will do it. And that's how her association with the impact sector started. I had then started to volunteer with Pratham, and we liked the organization. And I went to the founder of Pratham and I said, there's my wife, she's more talented than me, is available to help you guys out. So Madhav Chavan, basically said, ask her to come to our office tomorrow morning. She went tomorrow morning and the next morning, and she became effectively the CFO of Pratham Mumbai, and she would go there a few hours a day. So she led the way on the
Social impact.
impact sector. But I think the reason she led the way was this very clear sense she had that this 5-year caregiving break is the most important thing I will do. And we had good experiences because we also timed our international stay with it. But I kept doing my corporate stuff.
Yeah. So when you look back, those 5 years, like, do you feel sometime has it come to your mind that I could have been somewhere else, or any of those thoughts ever?
I don't want to be anywhere else than where I am now. That apart, this is something I strongly say to all women who come to acquire a higher education, a professional degree. Nobody can tell you that the best use of your education is to go out and earn money. Who is to tell me that my management degree was not best used for raising my children? Who is to tell me that my education did not help me in finding the best care for my father in the time when there was no internet? Who is to tell me that I did not do the best thing about our finances, about how we saved and how we invested and how we planned for our children's education? So eventually, education is to make oneself a better person, help oneself contribute to your family, to the environment around you, and then to society at large. I think that societal obligation is something we must never forget. And those of us that are fortunate enough to come to a place like this and study, we should remember that we are the cream of this country. We won what Ramesh likes to call the ovarian lottery. I could have so easily been that child in Dharavi who struggles to break out of the shackles of her family not allowing her to go out because it's unsafe or because her father cannot afford to educate her. But I was born to a father who never once let me think that I was less than a boy. I'm married to a man who's never ever shy to let me take the limelight. I think I have an obligation to give it back.
Right? That's a beautiful way of thinking. Very few people, like of so many people that I know, like I think first time I'm hearing this, Meenakshi, who is like so confident and so sure about, yeah, this is what I should have done and I have done. Because I've asked these questions to multiple people, to multiple women, multiple times, and everyone at some point they have thought that they should have done things differently or they should have thought differently. So that does come in naturally also because of our surroundings. People keep telling you that, right? So that also happens. But coming to like your time in campus together before we move to the next section.
He was the one who was much more active on campus. Tell us about placement and about.
Yeah, so I had actually come to IIM after a couple of years of work, which was not the common thing then. I had worked as an engineer in Jamshedpur for a couple of years, and I was a good student, but my mission in IIM was to make the most of this experience. So I did well on the academic front. I was also elected to be the placement rep for our batch. So I had to coordinate placement for the whole batch. It was much simpler then than it is now. So I got quite busy between my academics, running placement and spending time with her. So time on campus was good, and I took a lot of courses in my second year that I genuinely wanted to do. So I have a passion for manufacturing. I have a passion for operations that stayed with me through my college years, went through, and therefore in my second year at IIM, I did, I think, some very interesting courses with some very good friends that in very small classes. So it was a pretty busy 2 years. The general sense used to be that you work very hard in the first year and you take it easy in the second year. My second year got busy thanks to meeting Meenakshi, what I was doing on placement, and a group of us who decided we wanted to do a few courses with faculty that we really liked to get deeper on a subject. So it was a pretty busy time. I had already picked up interest in running, even
Back
in my
then itself.
in my engineering days. So I would step out quite regularly for runs into. In fact, yesterday when she and I came, I found that running route is almost intact. Go across, come through Atira, and it was a 4 to 5 kilometer loops. I would do that, and In general, I have very few regrets about how I've led my life. This was one of them. I think it went well and it ended very well. It ended very well. The joke that I say is that I have two M's that give me stress and two M's that take away my stress. I'll
Expired.
tell the four and I'll let you guess what they are. Okay, McKinsey, Meenakshi, marathon, meditation, and I shall stop.
I am not going to comment on that.
Anybody's guess.
So they're like your life revolves around 4 M's.
Yes, and I was also called M on campus. So there's a M in the middle. I'm Ramesh Mangaleswaran.
Right, okay. So
all
they-
my North Indian friends could not pronounce my last name, so I became M.
So what is that one thing when you look back to your campus days that you really, really fondly remember that has stays? I know there's so many experiences, but if I have to ask you to name one to both of you, what would that be?
For me, it was clearly the day I got the McKinsey job. Because in these 2 years, McKinsey had just come to India. And, it was big news then. And they were paying 2 times more than the next job. And it was this big brand. We had this iconic leader of McKinsey who then became a mentor to both her and me, who was just super inspiring person. So, and it seemed so difficult because 100 odd people would apply, 30 people will get shortlisted. At the end of half a day of interviews, they'd bring it down to 8. And at the end of the day, they would make 4 of us. It's all very different now. So I think getting that job and what that has done for me subsequently in life has to easily be my most important memory. The second one, she referred to it in passing, and I'm not making one versus the other. I think both of them are equal. Is actually having met her, and I think I was a little bit surprised with how quickly this was progressing, because the whole idea was we'll meet each other, we'll go to Bombay, we'll spend a couple of years, tell our parents, let it go. But this thing like just unfolded like a fast forward movie. Like between July and December, it was all locked in. And so I think that with the benefit of hindsight, it was good, because then everything that we did, she was party to. Everything from like first, I'm quite open in saying this, that I don't know where my money is. I haven't gone to a bank in 30 years. And I think that's a liberating thought.
Yeah,
And
Totally.
So that's totally.
and what would that be for you?
See, I have very vivid memories of the day we met. We sat outside that, that little ledge that goes from D1 to CR3.
CR3, I know, but
See,
yeah.
you guys don't even remember old campus. It's sad. I hope it comes back in its glory. Just across from D2, there's a little pathway that goes, and then you cross that little thing underneath, and then you go into CR3. There's a little ledge. And the people that came from Citibank were inside CR3, and the others, we were sitting outside and waiting for them to call us. So that is one very vivid memory I have of standing there. But an equally vivid memory is the day we first arrived. My father came with me. And in fact, I got into a couple of the other IIMs as well. But the reason my grandmother said I should go to Ahmedabad is
Closer
because
to home.
Carla, you can take her. Why should she take a train or a flight? You go drop her and come. I said, well, thank you very much. It also happens to be the best of the lot. So that is the one I'm going to take. But my father came with me. And I remember we parked at that entrance to the old campus. And then we walked in. And then, you have this splendor of the Harvard steps and the Stanford ramp. My father was just so happy that I was going to come and study at a place like this. He was happy that you could see that joy, and I really had a good time. And then we walked around, saw where the dorms were. We went to meet Mr. Setu Madhavan. May he rest in peace. So it was a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day that changed the trajectory of my life.
Lovely. So when your children hear your love story, they find it very exciting. Exciting, of course, right?
Well, they make a lot of fun of us actually. So like I told you, yeah, they said, "Kya 2 states bhi nahi kiya, ek hi state se pakda." And then you all went to IIM Ahmedabad, कुछ वो अर्जुन कपूर और उसके जैसे गाना भी नहीं गाया Stanford ramp पे. So the kids make
You
fun
can
of
still
us.
do it.
We could do
We
it.
do
right?
it. We actually have one of our classmates was a very good photographer, and there was a picture of her and me at Louis Kahn Plaza that we took when we were on campus. 3 years ago, we recreated that picture. And
we also have a
same location, different points in time, which are family treasures.
And we have a classmate, Lira, who's a beautiful artist. She even recreated that for us, and it's hanging in our home.
With the two of us sitting in the plaza with old campus behind us. It's a painting that she's made for us.
Yeah, so I think the dance on the step also that we
might
can,
think about.
yeah,
I'm
we
happy
can
to do
think
it.
about it. Yeah, I can arrange for it.
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah.
much. Another time.
Yeah. So now moving on to like I think both your individual careers and work life before we move to the philanthropy side of it. So Ramesh, like working for McKinsey 30 years, right? Building it from scratch in Chennai and Bangalore. What was like, I know you said that it was very intense, but you would have evolved, learned, right? Like throughout your journey, a lot of learnings. And what are the two or three maybe main key takeaways from this longer journey, like 30 years in one organization building it from the scratch in the country?
I think the first learning is that compounding works. If you spend more time doing something, the benefits of doing it are back-ended and in plenty. We all talk of compounding when it comes to money, but I think compounding comes to skills, compounding comes to relationships as well. So my first learning is compounding is a very useful concept in life, and it has helped me in my career. There are times you go unclear of whether the work you're doing is going to yield benefit, but almost always it yields benefit. I think that would be my biggest benefit, and McKinsey taught me that it is a long game. If I link it to my other interest, that is marathon, the people who finish a marathon the strongest are the people who start slow. People who start fast always have a horrible finish at a marathon. Always, because they just run out of reserves and don't finish. So my first learning is compounding works, and compounding is to me skills and relationships, both. That would be my first learning. Second is just one of extreme privilege. I mean, it is an extremely entrepreneurial organization. So we had the benefit of the calling card to pretty much do what you wanted. So, and my life in McKinsey, I break it into at least 3 distinct phases after I became a partner. First was really building the industrials practice with a group of very close friends and colleagues from scratch, and we took it to being half the office. The second was really making the geographic move from Mumbai to Chennai. By then, we had become so comfortable with each other, I didn't even tell her that I was going to move to Chennai, and I said, we're moving. And
I found out.
I had to face some consequence of it, but it's okay. But we moved. And then I started McKinsey in Chennai and Bangalore and all that. And the last 7-8 years of my career, I had others doing the first 2 things that I had started, but I focused a lot on building our, what we called our social responsibility practice, which is how do we define how McKinsey gives back more to society. And through that, I learned a lot. And frankly, through that, I rekindled my IMA relationship. Through that, I rekindled a lot of things. So I would say those are probably the things that I would say that compounding works. You have a calling card to do pretty much what you want. And 3 is you're learning all the time. I think you're learning all the time. And I hope that stays with me because I keep telling youngsters who come to meet me, the only thing you can learn in this environment is learn how to learn. Because what you learn is going to change. Just curiosity to keep learning. So on my list now is to figure out AI and how I can use AI. One thing I won't learn is how to manage money. Because that is in safe hands.
That is like in safe hands already. Yeah, you don't need to. So you're already using AI on a...
Not really. I'm only using what they are suggesting to me, but I have, in fact, yesterday I sent a message to actually a former colleague of mine who's very good at this to say, please do a few weekend sessions with me.
Me also.
Yes. We'll do
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah. So before we move on to the next question, quickly about running, right? So you run full marathons. You have run like 42.
I've run 15 full marathons in my life.
15 full. So if someone, like I'm asking for myself and maybe many more, like if we are not able to go beyond 21 and people say it's a mind game, that's an advice I get from every runner. It's a mind game. I start slow. I don't rush.
Yeah.
What else should I do? I've been trying for 3 years now. Not succeed. Like max 30. And then I give up.
Yeah.
What can I do to push myself?
First of all, I don't think you should take an objective to run a marathon. It is strenuous, but the other thing that you said is also true. So, marathon to me is one third. 1/3 of it is the mind, and the games that the mind plays with you. Okay, 1/3 of it is just your physical fitness, and physical fitness is not just running. It is running, strength, and all that together. The last third, I think, is nutrition. Okay, sort of what we eat and all that. And frankly, I mean, till I took up running, protein was not even in my lexicon. But now it is a part of I think that is the balance. But people who tell you it is the mind are probably saying the right thing. If you really want to do it, it is not. I have a simple rule in life. If more than 100 people in the world have done it, I can do it. Like a Nobel Prize I won't get, because Nobel Prize number is still small. Okay? I'll not get Padma Bhushan or Padma Vibhushan or Bharat Ratna and also. But if more than 100 people have done something, then I have a reasonable shot at doing it.
Okay, I will think like that and see if I succeed.
You can sign him up as running coach.
I can do that, but he needs to have time. Where is the time in his
He
life?
has time. He'll make time for you.
Okay, this is
No,
very
I'm telling
different
you.
from what I know. I thought you don't have time.
The reason I won't be a running coach is because I don't know how to coach somebody else on running. But my running coach is very good. He and I have kept a spreadsheet going for 15 years now. Every Sunday he updates it with my runs for next week. So every Saturday I'm supposed to log in, which are my available days. Every Sunday he updates it. So it's like a business plan. He puts the plan, I put the actual, we compare at the end of the week, and I'm proud to say that over 15 years my compliance to the plan is in the high 90s.
And you are running in Chennai heat.
I run in any environment. My shoes are always with me.
You should see his Garmin pictures. He has run practically everywhere in the world. This is one thing that the running gear, even in an overnight bag, is non-negotiable. So his Garmin will pick up. I remember one time, were we in Vietnam? He ran, but the Garmin didn't work. So we're very sad that Garmin map doesn't show Vietnam. But he has run in Vietnam. So I will tell you what I have seen of his running ability is consistency. Just keep at it. And I don't run. I'm a Facebook runner.
I was going to ask.
I'm a Facebook runner. These large group
not on Facebook
runs. Now not on Facebook also. But the groups would have these lovely large runs. Somebody's birthday, cake would happen and all. I would show up 5 minutes before end of race.
Okay.
In the correct gear. And then looking all sweaty and all, we cut cake, everybody eats cake and goes home. Somebody say, how was your run?
So he never asked you to join him?
He tried. I don't enjoy running.
Then you gave up.
I-
You've now given up.
He's like, there are other things that we
What about the kids? Anybody pick up?
both
our
run.
son is a very
Both.
gifted runner.
Son is a good runner, daughter runs, she swims. They're both good runners.
So since you asked, okay, one other thing I live by is what is called the serenity prayer.
This is
Explain.
not fair to use it.
Give me the strength to change the things I can. Give me the courage to
No.
tolerate the things I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference.
No, anyway, I know you're using it against me. But the actual prayer is, God, give me the strength to bear that which I cannot change, the courage to change that which I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
So I know the
So
difference.
the wisdom is that wife is not going to run. Let her be. Okay. But the prayer is very, very
That
powerful.
wisdom came easily? Very easily.
Few hard
Long
knocks.
time ago.
A few hard knocks, but it came.
Yeah, it
Okay.
came.
Okay. And kids came naturally into running? Like,
The kids
or they
went to
were
boarding
inspired?
school. So in boarding school, I think they were all asked to wake up at 6 in the morning and go for a run. So
But you ask what wife does for his running? I go to all the big cities where he runs. I cheer. I have India flag. I go to different parts. In Berlin, I have been to 4 different points to cheer him. In New York, I have been to 5 different points. So I'm very much a
Never
part of
ever
the
when-
experience.
At least when you were younger, you never stood with a heart drawn on a chart
No heart,
paper.
only India flag.
No, only India flag. Like that. I thought you will have more romantic stories than that.
They're actually a very boring couple.
No.
No, you don't think?
Doesn't come across like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Coming back to your McKinsey journey. Like that is like when you were leading the industrial practices, right? What is that one industrial transformation or transformation of a company that you still feel very proud of? Like,
There's many clients in my life that I had long relationships with. I have worked with a client to take $100 million company to $1 billion. Still friends with the owners of that business. Started with a large conglomerate that was $1 billion in market cap, is now almost, I want to say $100 billion in market cap. These have been long journeys, but the joy of those journeys was co-creation. First co-creation is with the client. Second co-creation is with your colleagues. And the outcome is obviously the impact that we collectively achieved. But for me, more than the impact that we collectively achieved is the relationships that I built. I would say that almost all of them started as clients of mine and are now my friends.
but like there would be one story, right, which was maybe very difficult to do, maybe because of the remoteness of the company or something, like which was like really challenging to get done.
I mean, in general, every story has its challenges. But the one that I feel particularly good about is a colleague of mine and I did a piece of work to unravel what is not working in Indian manufacturing. We did this along with the CII in the year 2002. We were both young partners in McKinsey, but even if I say so myself, we did some pretty deep work on comparing India and China. And that piece of work just caught a lot of attention. Suddenly we were getting calls from, will you come and address an industry association here and there, and reports. And I think to me the crowning glory of that effort was The Economist picked it up and did a feature saying there is this McKinsey report on India's manufacturing competitiveness that has decomposed where we lose out on manufacturing. That's something that was not a direct client project, but something I'm extremely proud of. And it's now 25 years since we did the work.
And it has helped a lot later.
It has helped a lot. And some of the things we said then are true now, and we keep talking about it.
And you have traveled so much across India during your industrial practice and Asia.
Yeah.
So what is the worst like play story, if there is any?
No play story. I was coming back from a mining town in a remote part of India. We had a tough week at the client. Me and my team, we were in the AC coach. We had our Tumi bags with our laptops under us, heads as our pillow, and then between two stations, all our laptops were gone.
Was this UP?
No, it was MP. And we tried to file a police complaint. It was in the middle of the night, and he said, you guys have to get off the train. So we had to make a spot decision on whether we want to get off the train at some middle of nowhere location to file a police complaint, or just accept the loss and move on. Fortunately, these were very secure computers. So whoever got the computers could do nothing with it. We just decided to continue with the journey, come back and get a new. So that, like, all four of us lost our laptops that night, and our air tickets, because we were still in the regime of paper tickets. And the thing that hurt us the most was we lost all our upgrade vouchers. That time we would get upgrade vouchers for Jet Airways, and that we couldn't get back. But anyway, we lost it all one night coming back from a mining town.
I mean, this story is not because of my UP upbringing. That's why I asked, was it UP? Because this is something very much that used to happen there. Now it's different. So Meenakshi, like coming to you, a bit of your early career, I would like to know how it was in CRISIL, right? What you were doing. Of course, you enjoyed it, but what was if you look back, what are those one or two things, or maybe three you named that which you really loved?
So CRISIL was, even in those days, see, there is this, even in my career in Pratham and with Ramesh will tell you, one of the colossus of Indian industry is Mr. Vagul, was Mr. Vagul. It's no more. He was again the force behind starting an organization like CRISIL. And even in those days, a few years from its foundation, CRISIL was remarkably egalitarian, 50-50 men and women. They were considerate about, women coming in from long distance or whatever. We had a very nice working atmosphere. And I started out with the ratings team. I was picked to be in the research team that set up what is now the index on the NSE.
Wow.
We started by saying there is only the BSE, the Sensex. What about the other larger broad-based indices? How do we do the research? So we started to do research on companies listed in India on the stock exchanges. You had to go back 20, 30 years to look at their rights issues, bonus issues, to arrive at what would be a starting point for 1960, I think we started with. 1960, if Britannia's capital was this much, then they started to grow, then they had rights issues, bonus issues, blah, 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 and then they arrived to today's date. So we built history back for 500 companies. And then the company, CRISIL, actually sent me and a senior colleague to the US to understand how Standard & Poor's makes its indices and how we could bring that technology to India. I feel very happy that that first visit was, it laid the seeds of then what became a strategic partnership, and Standard & Poor's now owns majority stake, or at least a strategic stake in CRISIL in India. So then the indices were launched. It was a very exciting time because we didn't have all this AI and computing power and all. Every day at 3:30 you would get the prices from Bombay Stock Exchange. You had to pick the prices of the stocks that you include in your index and wait for your Excel sheet to calculate the index value. And at 6 o'clock we would put out a little press release with the index value of that day. And from there we have the small cap index, mid cap index, NSE index. It was an extraordinary experience. I loved it. I went to the US for the first time in 1995. I had a really good time. I even remember one very vividly. I went in a pink and black sari to my meeting at Standard & Poor's. And from there on, Mr. Joshi went on to do something else. I took a cab back to my cousin's place. And the Pakistani driver said, "Aapko dekh ke watan ki yaad aa gayi, aapse kya paisa lena?"
That was
I mean, from
so
those days,
moving.
such a beautiful day I had. So it was a really nice experience. I worked there until a couple of months before Siddharth was born.
A month before.
A month before.
Wow.
And then, you know how my career started in non-profit.
Yeah.
So that's a different story.
Yeah, that I know, but now a little bit details about that. I would like to know, dive deep into your journey
Okay.
in the not-for-profit space. Okay, how I think we discussed.
Correct.
Yeah. So what and why, what you chose to do and why you did that. And we will also want to come to the social impact fund that you have recently co-invested in, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's almost a 5-7 year journey. But yeah, so the non-profit started like how he told you. He met the founder. He told me that this is a very interesting man. He's doing amazing work. I said, "मुझे कुछ 2-3 घंटे का कुछ दिला दो." So that's how it started. I actually showed up one morning and I thought he was going to interview me and all. And he said, "नहीं, बहुत काम है. Please, you start with whatever you want." So we started out by old audits, clearing pending stuff, then went on to handle the finance function. So from 2 to 3 hours a day, subject to when the baby was sleeping and I could get back home, I very quickly moved. I enjoyed the work so much and there was so much to do. I very quickly moved to 5-6 hours a day and then full time. And I worked there until 2009, which is when we moved to Chennai. You heard about how I found out from somebody else.
Yes, 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 yes.
So we had just moved into our own home.
I won't ask you about the consequences.
No, it's okay. It's a fun thing. It's a fun story. We had just moved into our own apartment after so many months of getting it done and all. And we had our housewarming party and one of his colleagues came and said, "What a lovely apartment. What a pity you're going to move to Chennai." I'm like, "Huh? What? I am moving to Chennai."
Really? This is how you found out? Okay,
Yeah, but
you
I
were in deep
live
trouble
on the
that
edge.
means. Yeah.
Yeah, but the move to Chennai also came at a good time in our life because again, I took a couple of years for a caregiving break, this time for seniors. We moved to Chennai, his parents lived there, now we live together. I had a couple of uncles and aunts who needed some support. So again, a couple of years went in. And I always think that this is something that we owe to that generation,
Yes.
that when they need us, we should be there for
Yeah.
them. And so a couple of years went in that. I started a small, I co-founded a platform, a knowledge platform. It's called Urvani Foundation. My co-founder Meera is now fully running it because I am now in this job at Pratham. We believe that citizens have a responsibility or as much as they have a right to civic privileges and facilities in the urban spaces. So we can't only keep complaining that there are potholes and there's pollution and blah, blah, blah. The constitution gives you rights. You have to stand up for yourself. You have to get together. You have to fight. And often change happens if you reach out to elected officials, if you come together and you want to do these things, change is possible. For instance, one thing I always feel is, why do people show up and 70% turnout for MP election? You won't see that MP again for 5 years.
Right.
But you turn up 30% for councillor election. This is the person that's going to fix your pothole. We need to have that greater sense of responsibility towards hyper-local civic affairs. So we started that platform. We have a data platform where we create sets, open data sets. And I'm very happy that it's doing really well now. We have 3 cities, Bangalore, Chennai and Mumbai. We have huge citizen engagement. We have name recognition with the authorities now. And Meera's now leading that effort because I have the job. So we started that in 2014. And then at that time, I was approached by a few friends to ask if I would be a co-investor in a social impact fund called Mentera. Now, the thing is, it's always hard to raise money for social impact.
Yeah.
I remember one of the people that founded social impact investing in India saying, until impact investing is treated with the same respect and rigor as regular investing, we're always going to struggle to raise money for
Correct.
it. Why should it be that anything is less important when it comes to social impact? So we said, okay, let some of us throw our weight behind this. And we started a small initiative. I mean, it was, I think, a couple of 100 crores. The second edition of the fund is larger, to say, can we actually invest in supporting, enabling some of these entrepreneurs who want to try out, let's say, a health initiative, like a quick touch sugar diagnosing tool, or, one of the things we invested in was a tool which would, just by view of X-ray, tell you which part of a wound needed surgery and cauterization. So useful in the rural areas because they get hurt all the time. They don't have a tetanus shot, so then it gets septic. How do you tell which part of the wound really needs to be treated? So some amazing discoveries that don't get the support they need because mainstream investors don't see yet the way to the path to money.
Right.
So that was one of the things I did. I learned a lot from that experiment. There again, the team is going on. I stepped out and then I was working with the United Way network. I was with the United Way Chennai for about 4.5 years. And then I want to tell you about what I did 2 years ago. This was a bug that had bitten me a long time ago. And I kept talking about it. I said, how wonderful would it be to go study once more, be a student, especially,
I saw that.
especially
When
this time in the
researching.
US, because everybody seems to have such a good time. And I kept talking about it, and then my children said, Mom, either do it now or shut up forever, you know. So then I applied and I went to do a 1-year master's at Columbia. I had a very good time, really, really good time, in which I think he played a very important part. One is because along with the children, he pushed me to kind of put it out there and do it. The other thing is, completely he took over the caregiving responsibility. See, now parents have grown old. A home has to be run, gaadi mein petrol, driver ko salary, kal khane mein kya banega. It's very liberating to wake up in a new city and not have to worry about these things. To have a student card and say, today I'm going to go to the Metropolitan Museum. It's a wonderful
That's a
experience.
beautiful
I had
place
a
to be.
great
Yeah.
time. And then when I finished that, I came back to India and then I landed this dream job where the universe has brought me 25 years later back to the place where I started as a volunteer. I cannot think of a better way to give back.
So this sounds exciting.
It is.
Yeah.
It's challenging, but very, very exciting. Which is why I
Challenging is
told you in the
exciting.
beginning, there's no other place I'd rather be now.
When we meet next time, I would know more about it.
100%.
Like actually to both of you, like you both signed the Living My Promise pledge, right? And that's a huge commitment, like saying that I will be giving off like almost 50% of the
we'll
wealth,
give away
half your wealth away. And that is, I don't think, very easy. Was it an easy decision? It can't be.
Actually, the decision was always there. I think I have maintained that a lot of things have happened to us because we happened to be at the right place at the right time, including sort of being at India when liberalization started. Yes, we may have had some talents. Yes, we may have had some qualities and all that, but it was all amplified because we were lucky. And luck is extraneous to us. We didn't do anything to get the luck that we
You would have
deserve.
done at some life.
Oh,
some
we don't know.
point of
So,
time.
so this idea that you are where you are because of something else was there in both of us and in our upbringing. It's a friend of ours, and I think I want to acknowledge him. He's also a batchmate of ours, Venkat Krishnan, founder of Give India, founder of Living My Promise, one of the most thoughtful guys on giving, and we kept it private for a long time. I think the guy would have visited us some 4 to 5 times, and he said that we need to get more people to do it. And when more people want to do it, they need to see people out there doing it. They want to hear their stories. And that's when we decided to put it out there. That in our lifetime, not in our will, in our lifetime, we'll give away 50% of what we have. And it was once we made the decision, thanks to Venkat, we had to let our children know about the decisions.
Right.
And thankfully for us, mature kids, they got it. I said 50 itself is plenty for you.
Yeah.
So we did it. So I'm using this platform to say it because I think it's not unique to us alone. Almost everyone who has had a good outcome in life should recognize that there were other factors that contributed to the outcome, and therefore we have to be grateful to it. And I have to say one last thing. The school that you went to is called the Alma Mater. Alma Mater in Latin means the giving mother.
Right.
So people that question why should we give back to the school that we went to,
I was coming
it's
to
a
it
little
next.
bit like questioning why should I give back to my parents. That's my theory.
Right. And you are giving back not just in terms of resources, right? You are spending so much of your time. How do you manage? How do you balance it? You are spending time with IMA, and you are in the board of governors. You are involved so much with the Endowment Fund, IIT Bombay Development Fund, then other schools where you didn't go to, but the other ones, I think Kriya and
Nayanta.
Nayata.
Yeah.
So how are you managing so much? Like, it's a lot of
it's
serious portfolio.
First of all, I'm done with McKinsey now. So I'm living what is called the third chapter of my life. First chapter was my, it is that, but first chapter was about education, second chapter was around earning. The third chapter, I think the dominant theme of my third chapter is giving. I do other things. I also earn a little bit through my investments. But so therefore, this is not something I'm doing on the side anymore. This is something that is all of what I'm doing. That's point one. Point two is she referred in passing to Mr. Vagul. Mr. Vagul, my parents, her father, Tino Puri and all have been profound influences on our life. Okay. But Mr. Vagul would always say that true giving is time, ties and treasure. Treasure is actually the easiest part to do. You just write a check and give it away. So I think I believe in that. In fact, I think that my greater contribution will come from my ties and my time and not my money. There are people with bigger bank balances than me. But this is where I think I can make a unique contribution.
So now, like, talking about the School of AI that you were very involved in launching in IIM Ahmedabad, like, what was the thought process behind that? What really, what made you think that School of AI in IIM Ahmedabad is needed, and what is the focus area? What is the institute?
See, listen, AI is a significant trend that's going to shape the future of the world for years to come. IIM Ahmedabad has always been pioneering in what it did. So it was quite clear that Ahmedabad had to do something in the space of AI. This was a thought that was in the director's mind, was in the board's mind, and I think it all came together, and we have to acknowledge this. When Chandrika came for her Golden Jubilee reunion and gave it a big fillip, and that has really accelerated things. I think my hope is that this school is unique not only in India but in the world in terms of being at the interface between problems of the world, be it problems of business, society or government and technology. I think that is where a management school has its place. We are not going to be the people who are going to develop the technology.
Right.
We are going to be the critical thinkers, the problem solvers, the change managers. And therefore, I have a lot of hope for what the school can represent. I think we are off to a good start. A job well begun is a job half done, but there's a lot to do.
Yeah.
Primarily because this is a unknown environment. No one knows how this is going to unfold, but it's exciting. We may or may not benefit from the school, but generations to come should benefit from what the school stands for.
Are there any initial thoughts, like what you think the generations to come would benefit
I think
from?
how do you use technology to solve thorny problems? For instance, can you use technology to help address land use in India? Where should residential developments come? Where should commercial developments come? How should they come in a way that you're not cutting into forest area? How should urban planning work? Is potentially one area. Health. I mean, why health at an aggregate level? Mental health. How can AI, which will be a cause of mental health stress, also solve the mental health stress it is going to create? Is the second problem I would pose. 3 is education. Can we flip education on its head? Can we finally get into a unit of one for teaching, where I learn differently from you because we have different studying positions, different aspirations and different faculties. Today we can't do it. So I think it's exciting. If you can solve real world problems using technology in a time bound way, that's what business teaches you.
Right.
Solve a problem with a objective and a time. Can we do the same thing here? And I think these are some sample problems we will work on.
Meenakshi, you want to add something to that from your experience?
The minute he said AI for education is when my ears perked up, because this is what we are grappling with at Pratham, saying how do we take this to the last child, Our mission until, our vision until very recently was every child in school and learning well. And now we have expanded that vision to every child, youth and woman who has been deprived of the opportunity to learn, to have those tools and the chances to learn, to be ready in the world. Now, how do we take this to every child? Who are we to be arbiters of opportunity? Who gets to learn and who doesn't get to learn? Who gets to utilize their potential and doesn't? So, while we can't influence the outcome, can we try and make the access to education much more egalitarian using technology? Because mind you, there is really increasingly in India no such thing as a digital divide. One of our own surveys of 2 years ago showed that more than 70% of Indian homes have smartphones and they have access to bandwidth. So how can we push out simple mechanisms, predictive mechanisms for our children to learn, be ready for the world when they come out? Why don't we have enough jobs? We need to create jobs for the job seekers. We need to enable the job creators to say, okay, how can you go out and not just find opportunity for yourself, but for 10 other people like you? And I, for one, am really waiting to see how all this wisdom can help organizations like us use AI to succeed in our mission.
Right. And now the last question. As founders of the Endowment Fund, IIM Endowment Fund, what is that one message you would want to give to the alum community, to the young alums who are coming in, who would be future alums? What would be the message?
I think that everyone that has benefited from this institute can contribute to the institute. Please reconnect with the institute and figure out how you can contribute. It can be time, ties, treasure.
Absolutely.
But do it. It will be enriching for you. It will not only be a act of altruism, it will be an act of learning. It will be an act of growth.
You would like to add?
No, I think we've done many things in our life jointly. This place is where we started our lives together, so that message can be from both of us together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It has been a lovely
Thank you for
episode
having us.
with you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please do like, subscribe and share. Thank you.